going to separate them just slightly in the middle of the mat and sit down. Now, I bet you anything, it's going to be really hard for you. You want to make sure that the heels are not sickling, that they're closer together where the toes are farther away. For Maribel, this is going to be a lot of stretching. You can see that there's a lot of tension here. More than likely, she'll have to keep her body forward so that she's putting only the amount of weight that she can handle. Otherwise, go ahead and sit straight up, and you can see the full stretch that comes through the arch. May I use your ball? Thankful for my 9-year-old daughter who's playing around one day and goes, I don't feel it. So she puts the ball underneath, even more of a stretch here. Not everyone can get to this progression, okay? So let's have Maribel go ahead and sit up on top of her mat. Remember, you don't want the toes off the back, you want them in the middle. And then again, toes are out. The first thing with someone like this is they're gonna sickle their feet because it's painful for them. Just relax your toes. And let's see, oh, she can sit up, you overachiever. Does that feel good? It hurts. It hurts, yeah. So it's like Laffy Taffy getting longer. In and out, full flex and flex. We're gonna do 4 sets of this. Now, as we go to parallel, I want their knees to be straight up to the ceiling. As they rotate out, they can't drop their hips. They really have to get those hips up to the ceiling. 4 sets, then roll it down. Imagery-wise for this, whatever you would like to do, but they have to keep their legs in a straight line. So the first thing you're going to do is pick up one leg. Doesn't matter which leg, but keep this at 90, and then try to keep the knee down to the toe at 90. They're still working their abdominals. We're going to take a nice stretch to a full flex position. Now, what muscle do you think you're activating here? Yes. And then you're going to drive that heel back down into the ball as you come in. And extend. And 2, it's all control. Even though we're working in parallel, these muscles get developed really fast in a parallel, and they're already there, developed for the exterior rotation. Back down, drop your right leg, pick up your left foot 4 times. 1, 2. This also is a shortened or a broken down progression to what exercise we do with the hamstrings in the advanced. So we'll do 4 of these, still keeping this nice and hollow. Then we're going to place our hands on our knees. Here you're going to see whether or not they're going to arch their spine. So keeping the neutral spine is extremely important. When they come back to a high fifth, remember this is going to come to a flex, nice soft butter as they're working, really growing that nice muscle memory. That has to be done slow, otherwise that muscle memory won't kick in. 4 sets, drawing that line straight out on the ball, and then coming back down, okay? So hands on the floor. So you're in a demi position back here. Now, do you think we should come up to a full demi point, or should we press our heels down to the floor? Why? Hamstrings. I'm obsessed with them. So now you're going to do an arm float. We're going to reach 1, 2, down for 2. 1, 2. And I want you to think of your mobility being through the upper back here. 1, 2. I'm also pressing my hips into the ball so that my psoas is really long. Second set, we're going to go up to a high fifth. We want to stay square. We want to twist in our thoracic part of our spine, back to the center, and back down. Still pressing our heels to the floor. High fifth, twist, keeping our hips nice and square. This is all progression to all of the things we're going to do into the senior and advanced program. Back to the center, left side up, and twist, back down, and close. Okay, so that's our back. And they kind of have to release their sternum a little bit, but they're not releasing their abdominals. So I can literally still hold my abdominals in and open up my sternum. I have absolutely no pain or tension in my lower back. Ends up not being a PT who actually works with dancers, but that doesn't matter, right? So I want you to think about how much, even just on this nice twist, how much are you using through the hips and the lower spine, or how much are you actually using through the upper body? You're learning how to transfer your weight when you release one leg to the other supporting leg. Now we're going to flex on the way down. Again, transfer. 1, 2, flex for 2. 1, 2, flex for 2. I have to think about the bug that's kind of going off into the distance here. You don't want to be tucking your neck. Keep it nice and long with your eyes. And up, 2 times. 1, 2, and flex on the way down. 1, 2, flex on the way down. Now this isn't a flexibility contest. This is all about control. 1, oh yeah, because you're going to get them all the way up here. They like that. Yeah, nice 90-degree angle here. Flex on the way down and all the way up. Breathe, flex on the sure our heels are like right underneath our knees. If you have students who have no core control, don't move them to the front of the ball. Keep them in the middle of the ball and just move their feet back so that the heels are underneath the knees. You'll see at this level, they have no activation of their core. They're just all over the place. But if you do have some of them who are really engaged, go ahead and move them to the edge of the ball. That's our goal, is to get them to the edge of the ball. So fingers on your shoulders, we're gonna squeeze for 8. And we're not gonna squeeze grip, we're gonna hug and activate. So 1, release, 2, release, 3. Start to move our foot off the floor, and we're transferring to our supporting leg. Let's see if you start to wiggle, if you activate just a little bit of that pressure of the heel, it stabilizes you like that, okay? So we're gonna go from this position, because I know how strong you are. We're gonna take our arms in a first port de bras, and again, I'm Chuketti base, so if it's a different name, it's okay, yeah? So we're gonna take a first port de bras, 1 and 2, melt 3 and 4, up 5, 6, 7, 8. Third port de bras, 1, 2, and 3, 4. We're gonna stay second time in all of Sakone. Now we're gonna do a knee float where you're gonna peel off the floor. You're gonna transfer your weight to the supporting leg. 1, 2, down 3, 4, up 1, 2, down 3, 4, up 1, 2. Still keeping a neutral spine, not tucking to balance, right? Rib cage over the pelvis, place it down, up 2, 3, 4, okay? If you have a student who has lack of rotation, you can do this on the floor in like a first position. But I would like for you guys to shoot for the 5th position. You want to place the ball underneath the lower part of the calves, okay? Arms opposite. So we're gonna come in to an attitude devant. 1 and 2, really opening up the hip socket, keeping the neutral spine. 3 and 4, and in for 2, and out for 2. Third time, 1, 2. This is a little bit tricky if you have a lack of rotation, because most of the time you're gonna grip there. Interior rotation, exterior rotation, extend the leg. We will do that 2 times. Make sure that the ball stays even up the tibia, and then you get to switch to the other side. And the ball likes to get away from you, so you might have to adjust a little bit. 1, 2, out for 2. 1, 2, out for 2. 3 times. Interior rotation, exterior rotation, extend, and then nice breath over to the other side. You have to lean back just a little bit when you switch to the other side, which when you do this with partners, it's almost not doable. We're working with the little ones, the sub-juniors, which are between 6 and 8, okay? Remember, everybody matures at a different level. I have a 9-year-old, my daughter who's 9, and she works at like a 13-year-old level. I also have not in that way, like the dance way, okay? Her daughter is brilliant, okay? It's amazing.
My wife's like a 5-year-old that does.
So they're opposite. They would be like maybe the perfect person. We have to get them together. So, at like a 5-year-old level, like physically, she's very smart, but physically, she's just not there. So it's different for everybody, so you just have to know where to adjust everybody. Okay, so when you're working with the ones who are a little bit more behind, keep their foot on the floor for this one. It'll be a progression to come up into a 40-degree level. So we'll take our arms out to all Sakone. We're going to really put pressure on the floor, tendu and close, tendu and close, tendu, flex, heel down, point. We're going to do this 2 times because you're first going to do it on the floor, and then you'll do it off the floor. Brush, flex, point, turn. Now you see how I'm moving? One booty to the ball, transfer, flex, keep the heel down, long and close, and brush, close. Third time, you'll give it a nice flex and lengthen and close. Then you'll come back to parallel. Make sure that the feet are slightly, like the heels I like to be underneath the knees. Now you're gonna go off the floor. Keep the posture and close. Brush and close. Brush, full flex, point and close. I know what you're gonna think about when you're releasing, right?
Butter?
Huh? Huh?
Butter?
Butter? That's for rotation. Yes, just slightly. Heel, full rotation. That should feel so yummy right there. Release of the hip sockets. And then 2 sets on it. Okay? Forward, and you're just holding is lifting. Hold, and down. That will activate the side obliques. And if the side obliques are really strong, hopefully they won't tip over. Because I think when you transfer your weight, you're not just using your TBAs, you're using your side obliques as well. Yeah, our maybe just don't timber.
Were you
As
laying down
falling
flat when
over.
you did that?
Huh?
Were you flat when you did
I
that?
was flat, never up like this, because not only to hold our rotation, but is to activate that vastus medialis oblique. So we're gonna transfer to one side. Our side obliques are working. One little part of the booty's coming off of the ball, back to center. Now I tell the kids to feel their sit bones down into the ball, because you're gonna get a lot of posterior tilt. So it's gotta come right, lengthen underneath them. Transfer to the other side, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. That heel is forward, that thigh bone is really activated, back to the center. We'll do 4 of those, see if you can feel those VMOs working. Now let's talk about hyperextension here. If you have a student who's hyperextended, so there's somebody right here in front of you, or Karen, go to your second position and just follow me, okay? So go this way, okay? Now from here, she's hyperextended, that's your bad knee, right? Go to the other one, sorry. Now, go ahead and point your foot. Do you see how can you get your heel off the floor? You see how she can get her heel off the floor? I can't get my heel off the floor because the first thing I lose is my rotation. So if you have a hyperextended kiddo, you can actually try to get them to lift the heel and fully point. Everyone else I would keep with the heel on the floor so they get the full activation, but not losing the rotation. Relax rotation, like tenacity, you really might like this, where you flex the foot and you can really work the rotation and the VMO at the same time. But don't ever give that to the hyperextended students, okay? So you're gonna do 4 and 4. 4 with your fingers on your VMOs, 4 with the olecicone stretching. And if you wanna try to add in the flex, oh, it feels so good. That really helps to keep the rotation. And of course, the length of the hamstrings in the back. Actually, the more difficult area to place this, okay? Of course, we wanna work our rotation. It's kind of like what we did in the sub-junior program where we started the wall, but now we're bringing it away from the wall. You don't have that nice tool of the wall to help you. So we're gonna come into a plie here. 1, 2, and lengthen for 2. 1, 2, really challenges all the activation of the legs into that demi-plie from here. Turn the legs in, turn them out. Again, plie, 2, lengthen for 2. Plie for 2. Make sure the knees don't come above the hip bones. Third time, plie for 2, up for 2, turn it in, turn it out. Now, again, if you were in the room, make sure that you're hyperextended. You're gonna place it between the lower parts of the calves. Everybody else can place it between the heels. You're gonna sit up and cross. Let me turn around so I don't hit the mirror. And then you can see how it sits up. You're gonna so super close. So you're here in the first position. You're gonna sit up cross, all the way up to your ballet posture, back down, and again, stretch up, back down, you're back up, back to first position so that you can do the other side. So straight position here, and then just let them press straight up and down. You'll see that on all the tutorials on the online training, we're in a plie position, and then we press straight up and down. You see how my legs kind of went that way? That's typically what you're gonna get from the little ones. So it should look obviously like this, but it's really hard for them when they don't have a lot of core stability. So I would start them with a nice mid position here and then just press straight up, find that position, and then come back down. Now placement's gonna be very specific. So if you're hyperextended, you're gonna want the ball underneath your calf muscles. Now you should be able to cross your 5th position. If you can't cross your 5th position, it means that you aren't as hyperextended as you might think. Go ahead and get that ball underneath your heels, okay? Now I'm just gonna go ahead and put this foot here where we talk about the supporting leg. A couple of things. One, you wanna keep your hips from dropping and tipping. Those have to stay evenly placed. You also wanna make sure you're not contracting here, that this is nice and lengthened like we talked about before. Your supporting leg, you see my inner heel? That inner heel has to be up to the ceiling. This is a huge, huge rule that you have to stick with, because when we start taking it into the progressions, if they don't have this working, the inner heel up to the ceiling and the deep rotator and hamstring activated, you don't want to progress this. They have to learn how to do just the 5th position before going on. If they are going to have a difficult time engaging that, and they're not quite there yet, you're going to see that they're going to turn their leg in, they're going to fall off the ball. But that being said, if your students feel like they're going to fall, don't let them just drop. Let them put their pelvis down on the floor. That way they don't hit their feet on the floor and then they get bruises on their ankles, okay? So we're going to just go into this nice little plie position. Make sure that your hip to be square and nice alignment with the ball. And you can flex your feet, you can relax them in this position. Take a small little plie, breath in, and then extend as you press all the way up. We're gonna hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plie down on 7, 8. Back up 1, 2, 3, 4. Snap, crackle, pop 5, 6, 7. Down on 8. And again with the torso, we're not rolling like through our piano keys like we're tucking. We're actually starting to straighten our legs first, and then the torso comes up right after the legs start to straighten. So we'll do this 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Plie on 8, and then switch your feet. Okay? All right. You're gonna take a nice développé. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna come up, grab the ball, and extend the leg to a full développé. Now you see that I am lifted with my chest, right? You want to support your head by lifting up. You're going to come back down to the ball, nice and turned out, extend. Now from here, we're going to lift the head and switch the leg at the same time. Lower back down. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to come up, grab the ball, extend to a full développé, back down, feel the rotation, that inner thigh forward. See, I just cramped. And back down, lower the head, but then as you switch, you have to bring your head up to support the spine and come back down, okay? Ooh, I like this ball. However, that being said, I had a Pilates teacher that was in my course, and she had the elbow pulled forward, and then she supported like a nice basket, which does put you in alignment. So if this is more comfortable for you, that's absolutely fine, as long as you're not up here twisting the head and the neck, okay? I have a lot of students who do tell me that it hurts under here. Even if they're on a mat, they hurt doing this. For some reason, maybe their bones are pushing into the floor. So give them that option of cradling their head into the basket. Now you're gonna start with the ball down by the lower part of the calf muscles. Now let's talk about the supporting leg, okay? If you have a lot of rotation, you can come up into this demi-point position. If they lack rotation, I would keep them into a lengthened point, okay? The other thing is if you see on the videos, there's an option of putting their hand to support them here. I do feel like the kids, if they take their hand off of the floor, their hips are not gonna stay stacked on top of each other, especially if their side obliques are not activated, okay? So I would say to start with the hand on the floor. You're gonna take this up to a nice développé, feeling the rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 5, 6. We're gonna come to a flex position, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to use my rotation. Down 5, 6, 7, 8. Third time. 1, 2, 3. A ton of rotation, but I'm at my max here. My hips are stacked on top of each other. My ribs are in between my shoulders and my hips. On the third one, you're going to relax that rotation. Interior, but not dropping it too much. Right at 90 degrees. Exterior rotation, and take it back down to a full flex. Okay. You can then, not you, but you can roll to your tummy, my baby mama, over to the other side, okay? Now, when you roll to the other side, sometimes the legs get back here. We want to make sure that they stay straight to the side or slightly forward if the students are having a hard time keeping their hips stacked on top of each other. Then we do the other side. 1, 2, down, 3, 4, and 1. Oh, you scooted up, you little sucker. 2, down, 3, 4, up, 1, 2. On the third set, interior rotation, exterior rotation. Use those deep rotators and lower it back down. Again, roll to the stomach, support the lumbar spine with your core, and back to the other side here, okay? So we want to train them as much as possible to support that. We also know that the psoas is connected to the back, so we have to keep our pelvis really lengthened in this. So with the baby swan, we're going to start with the hands to the side of us. And this is going to progress into a couple of exercises. The next exercise after this is the arabesque preparation, and then we're going to take it all up into a back extension, which is on the bigger ball. So we're going to start with baby swan so that we can really feel the extension of the lumbar spine here. Do you mind if I pull this up just a little bit? Okay. So we're going to watch Maribel. You're going to pretend that you're rolling a marble forward with the nose. You're going to come just into kind of like this little cobra, and you're going to hold this, and you're going to pull, zip like you're pulling up your zipper of your sweater through your core, and we want to see that this lumbar spine actually gets longer and supported without necessarily letting the sternum open, okay? With that being said, we talked earlier about all the flexibility in the upper part of the spine. So when you do this, I want you to feel that more of the flexibility is coming from here and not from here. When you work with your partners, go ahead and start with your head down. Your hands are going to stay a little bit further back. You're going to go ahead and roll your marble. You're going to take your fingers, and as she comes up, and you don't come away from the ball, you want to feel like you're popping the ball out in front of you. So you're going to push forward. So there you go, forward, and go ahead and stay up. I want you to feel like your chest is pushing forward so this gets longer. Now zip your tummy, push the ball out in front of you. There, did you see how she got really, really long in her lumbar spine? That's what we want to train them to do, especially before getting up to doing back extension. Now she'll come back down, roll long, and relax over the ball, head down, and one more time. Go roll, and two, pull the shoulders back, pull the core in, zip there. As soon as she pulls the core in, this gets really, really long here, and then lower it down. On this third set, she's gonna come on up, go, and press 1, 2, shoulders back, 3, 4, you're gonna take your arms off, have a nice, beautiful cambre, port de bras to the front, keep the head long, there, and come back open and place your hands back down, really zipping through the core so that this stays long, okay? So get with a partner, you're gonna lift into a nice arabesque, 1, 2, lower, 3, 4, up, 1, 2, lower, this is all for rotation and not flexibility, 1, 2, you're gonna come up, there's that baby swan for the upper back, and your leg is still lifted in your square, but you're turned out and come back down. Okay, then you do the other side. 1, 2. Now let's talk about this right here. Yesterday I got to talk with the kiddos about this, but I need a guinea pig. It's on your stomach. It's on your stomach. It's not on your booty. So you're my guinea pig. Okay, lay down on your tummy. So when we're talking about arabesque to our kids, okay, and we're saying straighten your legs, right? You can see that right here we have a natural curve in the back of our knee. If they're not rotating to the fullest, it's actually turned in because they're standing like this. So it looks bent. So again, that tells you that they're not using their full rotation. Now it looks straight because of the rotation. So in this exercise, you want to emphasize that the knees are going to go away from each other. They're not lovebirds. They should be going away from each other so they're using their rotation. And that's really what this exercise is all about. Okay, so let's see. Beautiful Miss Mantha. As she comes, lift the right leg up. 2, our goal is to really engage, keep that kneecap facing outward, and lower it down. And the other side, up. 2, some kids who are really flexible will get their leg up and still be able to hold their rotation. Lower and down.
Even both hip bones on the floor.
Yes, ma'am. And right side, up. 2, now come up to your forearms. Breath, here's where the mobility in the back is. And then lower it back down, and then we switch to the other side, okay? So again, just prepping them. One hand is down, one hand is on the ball. My toes are tucked. You're gonna push up with your hips. You see the space? Push the ball underneath your hips, okay? That's how you have to teach them to get the ball underneath them. Now your feet are going to be slightly above the ball. You don't want them to drop. See what happens with your pelvis? So remember that it's going to be lifted here. You do not want to move your hands. I will emphasize that again as I yell at my daughter 5 times. Don't move your hands. You have to keep them here because of the rebound. So we're gonna work your rotation here. Feel like these legs right here are little butterflies. We're not gonna drop our knees here when we come to our plie. Remember, it's just a plie. It's not a grand plie for your saute. So we're gonna push 1, down, roll toe ball heel, 2, and down, 3, down, 4, down, push into a coupe, and 2, lots of dynamics, 3, and 4, change, 1, and 2, get those heels down, 3, and 4, change for 4, 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and finish, okay? If you have, how many of you feel like you can tell whether kids have really tight Achilles tendons right away or not? Okay, you have a gift, okay? The exercise that we did at the wall called the wall press, the one we spent quite some time on, you can tell on that exercise if they have really tight Achilles tendons because they're not going to be able to get down into their plie very much. And then here you can tell if they have tight Achilles tendons because they can't get their heels down. In that case, if you're working with someone with tight Achilles tendons, you got to do a lot of calf stretches, and I also suggest you have them checked out by a PT and make sure no adjustment in the back of the Achilles need to be adjusted, okay? All right, let's get some groups going. That ball's gonna be right up underneath the front of the ankle, okay? So not here, here. So we're gonna take plie 1 and down. As you saute, the knee needs to go over that second and third toe. So remember the wall press that we did? There's that TFL that we were talking about earlier. Up and roll, 8 times. Then you forgot to tell me to do left side. Saute, 1, 2, 3, roll. As you're coming down, you have that deep plie. Make sure they're not rocking off of their leg, they're staying forward. 1, 2, 3, roll. Now, remember we talked about the upper body. Here, if you feel like they're not being square or staying square, pull that rib cage. Use that thoracic mobility by pulling the rib cage forward. 4 sets. 1, 2, 3, hold, and a 1, 2, 3, hold. And then we'll switch to the other side. 4 saute single, and then 4 want to be about shoulder width apart, no further. And you want to be at a slight angle here, okay? She's going to push against the foam roller. She's going to lift those arms straight up, and then she's going to pull it straight down. That's it. You only do a couple of these just so that they get the feeling of the openness of the back. So let's take this. And again, doing a short one is fine. We use the long stuff for a little, long foamers for other things, okay? So I want her to start with at her wrist. There you go. This is going to be at chin level. And you can see she's already pretty good at actually fixing this issue. Yeah, there you go. Well, now, push. That's too much, but what I want you to do is push the elbows in, and you can see that that will open up the shoulder blades here, okay? Now go ahead and roll it straight up. You can see that this is trained. Keep the elbows in. There, you're training that scapula to come forward and open and really long here, and then come back down. Some people, see this roundness part of the shoulder here? That's just gonna be how you're developed. That's how your structure is. That's not something you can change. As long as this part is down and under, this should work correctly, okay? And again, press straight up, go back down, push your wrists flat, yeah, there you go. And straight up, keeping the core in. You're seeing that these muscles here are really activated, and then pull back down to keep the elbows coming in towards each other. Yes, that parallel, and go straight up. And you can feel it, you can see it working all right here, and come back down, beautiful. Good, let's try the other side, let's try everybody. Yeah, her core, okay? She's gonna pull her traps or her shoulders down away from her ears. Now, you're gonna come slightly up as you're coming away from the floor, and you're gonna push and pull back on the foam roller. So now you're putting pressure here, which is again forcing you to open up the scapulas. And then you're gonna roll it back forward. This is progression number 1 in your notes. And again, pull it back. Thinking about our port bras, keeping those shoulder blades open, and roll it forward. I love that Lisa's keeping her head really long in line with the spine. And come back up, we're gonna do progression number 2. She's gonna take this arm to an arabesque. Now she's gonna roll this forward. Don't move your body, just roll this forward. Don't lower down. Don't lower down. Good. You're just gonna roll this arm forward. You're gonna feel that stretch of that teres major there. And then pull the foam roller back by pulling the shoulder down. And then lower this arm. She's just gonna come up to an arabesque. Now everything else stays the same, but you're rolling the foam roller. Don't lower, don't lower. Just forward,
So
there.
lengthening.
Now look, you're lengthening that arm, you're rolling it forward, and look at all of this activation, and then again the stretch. Come back, pull it in, good, and lower it down. I'm gonna give her a little bit of a break. Okay, so when you lift up to the arabesque, this is rolling forward and then pulling it back down so that you're activating the muscles correctly. Now let's do progression number 3. You're gonna come back just like we did on, we did leg lift, no, we did leg slide and arm float in the junior program where we twisted and our hips were still square. That's what we're gonna do here, but this arm is gonna roll forward just like we did on the last arabesque, and then this one's gonna come to high fifth and twist, okay? So you're gonna pull back. Again, her shoulders are pulling down, her neck is really long. This is come to high fifth, and you're gonna twist to our friends over there, roll this forward. Good, now the hips stay square, and then come back down, pull this back. So you'll see you should see this activation going on with the shoulder. Place this down, high fifth, and again, you're gonna twist, now push this forward. Elongate that arm, good, feel that stretch?
Yes.
And come back to the center, and lower it back down. Very good, Lisa, thank you. Under the rib cage. I actually don't do this any longer. I haven't done it a really long time with the foam roller, but I'm going to give you the options because now I do it on the fusion ball and it's a lot more challenging. So I'm going to show you both ways. So the foam roller, again, I start with it underneath the rib cage. Elbows behind your head. feet together, knees together. You're starting up in this position. You're gonna take a nice little combre back. You're going to let that upper body kind of open a little bit, still trying to keep the ribs as close together. Now I want you to pull straight up to the ceiling. You get that little shake going on. Take it down, 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 and press straight up. We don't want them curling in too much because then the foam roller will shoot out from underneath them. And you don't want to come away from the foam roller, okay? So you're just going to take it down, 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 and we're going to come straight up, up, up. I always tell them that there's an orange between their chin and their chest. They're not allowed to squeeze it and get orange juice all over our floor. Again, take it down, down, down. I usually do 8 of these just to warm up the TBAs, and then you can add in a nice leg pump. Take it out, out, out. Sorry, Nicola. Up. She's like, don't call me Nicola. And 4 times, and then place it down. So we're going to then take it to where I guarantee you're going to like it on the fusion ball more, okay? Sorry. Now, same place, put it right at the thoracic spine. We're going to take it down, and then we're going to come straight up. There's the shake. If you get the shake that well, I hardly get it on the foam roller anymore because I think I've gotten so strong. But the fusion ball really challenges it, and that's where I can get that shake. You really don't have to come up so far. This is really hollow. We want that activation from the top of the rectus abdominis all the way down to the pelvis so that it really activates the TBAs, okay? So let's see, let's just kind of, okay? If you don't have the upper body strength, come down to your forearms. If you have really hypermobile wrists, you can fold the mat and then put it underneath the bottom part of your hand so that you've got some support there for the hypermobility, okay? Everybody else is going to take the foam roller underneath the top of their arch and walk it out to their plank. Again, we're not going to push our abdominals out. Those are going to pull in. Or my shirt doesn't help, does it? I promise it's working. You're going to hold it here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now we're going to go into this prone tuck to 90 degrees and extend it back out. 2 and out. Not pushing the abdominals in. Pushing them out, pulling them in. Now look right here. This is what you're going to get. See my shoulder blades? It's the only time I can do my shoulder blades incorrectly. They have to push through the floor and slightly round their upper back as they're pushing on the floor. Those shoulder blades are coming together. They just push just a little bit. They're not going to round it. It's just going to be pushing through the floor. Pull the ribs up. No arching in the lumbar spine. If you have older dancers that you want to give this to, add in 4 push-ups for more of the upper body stability, okay? So get with your foam roller, muscles. Again, we're looking for that neutral spine. You can start the younger kids down with their hands in a little V. You can come in what we call a cactus pose if that feels good for you in this exercise, so that the shoulders and the scapulas are open. Make sure that you're 90 degrees from the knees and the hips, and then the knees all the way down to the toes. For you guys, you're going to take a nice little combre up into this crunch position. We're going to take it long for 2, pull it in for 2. Now, if you're really strong, more than likely you're going to be able to come down here. Wow, I have no idea how I'm doing that because I typically arch like this. So maybe I'm getting stronger, right? So you want to make sure that there's no arch and that there's support and no pain in the lumbar spine. They might have to come up a little bit higher until they're really strong enough to get to the lower position. So we're going to do 4 of these. Out, 2, in, 2. Flex the feet. 1, 2, in, 2. Out, 2, in, 2. Point the toes. Now in your notes, you could do toe taps where you're pulling up this way. You have an extension of the abdominals working. Now if you have problems with the lumbar spine, that might be a little bit challenging for the kids. We're not going to do the toe taps. We're going to take the legs straight up. We're going to lower them and pull them back for 2 counts. 1, 2, 2, 2, in, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to reverse it for 4 with a flex. Out, 2, up, 2, plie for 2 counts. Yes, this is hard. You're going to be very strong by tomorrow. Plie, and then we're going to take it back up. Now I want you to work your side obliques. You're going to take a nice circle down and around to keep that nice lift in the chest and the shoulders 3 times, 4 times, and around 1. Now, I'm not getting a ton of activation through my hips. The bend, there's a little bit of activation here, but it's the side obliques that's pulling the legs around. 4 times, and then you can drop and give yourself a split if you have enough room, okay? So on position here. Pelvis is lifted. So remember, your heels need to be right underneath your knees. Are mine? I can't tell. Am I correctly placed? Yes. Feels right. Okay, so you're going to squeeze, hug here for 8. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, you're going to adjust just like we did in the sub-junior to a demi-point, but you have to pull your toes underneath you. And hold, 6, 7, squeeze, it'll be slower than that. 8, place your hands down. Adjust your left foot to be right underneath you. Extend your right leg. Rotation and interior. Exterior, interior. Exterior, interior. 3 times, extend the left leg. Turn it out, turn it in. Keep those hips lifted and long. Out and in. Place it down and see the feeling, because you're going to feel those deep rotatas to get you ready for the bridging in the next exercise. Yes? 2, 3, 4, back up. 6, 7, 8. Work the toes. 2, 3, 4, back up. 6, 7, 8. Remember what I said for the adjustment, especially on the 4th one? Pull that ball a little bit closer, adjust all the way up, because now we're going to hold this here, port de bras. 1, 2, 3, hold. There should be no movement of the ball, just the arms. 1, 2, 3, hold. 1, 2, 3, open the arm. Now we're going to use your head. We're going to take the port de bras with the high hip. 1, 2, turn the head, breath with the arm. Left side. 1, 2, open, down. 2 times. 1, 2, your legs are really lengthened here. 2 full port de bras here in 3rd, and then you can roll it down. But your goal is to not have any movement on the ball at this point. Yes?
What was the head part? I couldn't see it over there. Something turn your head, you
Yeah,
said?
turn your head, elongate.
Sorry, my
elongate
sticky
your
feet got
toes.
you.
Okay, I keep doing.
And your arms are off the floor. This time a little bit quicker. Flex and a point, and a flex and a point. Flex and a point, turn them in. Flex and a point, flex and a point, flex and a point, turn them out. Turn them in, turn them out. Flex and a point, turn them in, turn them out. There's so many different options you can do with this one. Turn it in, turn it out. Flex and a point, repeat it, okay? Flex and a point, flex and a point, flex and a point, turn it in. Flex and a point, flex and a point, flex and a point, turn it out. What are we going to focus on with a little coordination of flipping back and forth between the same legs? 7 times, turning it in. Switching this way. So they're working opposite foot. Again, watching the alignment and just doing it that way as well. So again, make it your own when you get in with your kids, when you start playing around with it. This leg. Stop. So I think depending on what is going on with each person's body, it might be different. So if you've got a lot of flexibility in your hips, more than likely you can transfer and then turn. Everybody else is normally just going to be turned in this position and then stretch the back leg, okay? So we're going to start with our arms in a nice open second position. Remember, you're in a wide second here. Now we're going to use more port de bras. We're going to reach 1, 2, use that band. 1, 2, use that band. Smile to the camera. 1, 2, use the band. Over, 2, and we go. Turn. This is in a lunge position. Your only little hip on here is one cheek. I want you to feel like it's a bubble. The ball's a bubble and you don't want to pop it, so you're lifting up out of it. Now we're going to combre forward. We're going to take it all the way up to a high fifth. Open the arm. Keep it really, really square. Remember, this is turned out. You're not pronating here. Yes, that foot is down in the back. You're using the rotation of the back leg, but eventually you're going to shift your weight. We're going to combre up and back. We're going to shift our weight forward to an arabesque. Now, if you're strong enough in your core and your ball has enough air in it, you should be able to, be able to lift the back leg off in arabesque and then come back around. Then you turn to the other side. Stretch the back leg. You're really square because you're using your rib cage. Push that heel down so you're really activating the back of the hamstring. All the way combre forward and up and back. Take a nice transfer. Don't pop your bubble. Lift that leg straight up, back to center, and hold. Okay? Take your notes as you see it. When you're sitting on the ball, infant position can be a little bit challenging. If you have a ton of rotation, like a ton, like 180. I had a gentleman from North Carolina in the workshop. He works for Susan Jaffe. It's a little intimidating. Arms up and out to second position. Now we're gonna dégagé to an en layer. 1, 2, open. Remember you're transferring to your weight. 3, 4. Keep that transfer. 1, 2, back to the center. 3, 4. The back leg goes. 1, 2, inner adductors working. 3, 4. 1, 2, open. 3, 4. Now we're gonna add in your combres again here. I don't take my toes to a full pointed position because I want to make sure they're not tucking, and that's obviously not very comfortable. So come to a demi. Keep those hips really still. The ball will give you feedback if they're moving. Combre forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up and back with the new port de bras. 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, what did I do? Oh, I closed it first. 7, 8, so you can get to the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Up and back. 5, 6. This time you're going to close to 5th so you can repeat to the other side. So Devon, 1, so that 1, you can feel that nice rotation, hips nice and square, and again, not the tucking of the toes. So Amanda is going to stand, just be careful, I don't want you to step on the Bosu. She's just going to hold me to the side here to give me a little bit of stability, okay? The first set you're going to do with partners, the second time the partners are going to step away. We have 3 sets of this. Demi and stretch. Fondue, knees over toes and stretch. 3 times and stretch. Now on the 4th one, the top leg elongates, holding the rotation, no sickle here. Pull it back to a demi position, keeping your hips nice and square. Melt, second set. Sorry, step away, please. She's like, okay, let's see if she can do it by herself. Demi and stretch. Demi and stretch. 3 times and extend. On this set, you're going to open the arm. Now we're going to use your port de bras. 1, 2, open for 2. 1, 2, open for 2. 2 arms. 1, 2, open for 2. This is a very advanced progression. You're there. Your rotators are on fire. Bam. You can do anything up there. And then extend and lift off. Okay? That's it. Those rotators are stand behind me. Yep. So you're going to take the leg and all succumb. Okay? You want to make sure they're not on their 3rd leg. They have to be on their supporting leg.
I haven't heard that in so long.
You have to make sure that the ball is going to be underneath the lower part of the calf. Those toes should be slightly off of the ball. My partner is going to put her hands underneath my elbows, and I'm just going to give a little pressure. Now, again, when you're strong enough, they don't need the partner, but when they get to arabesque, it's super tricky, okay? We don't want that pelvis sticking back at your partner. Get the sit bones straight down and scoop that inner heel so that full rotation is working. We're going to take 3 pliés. Demi and stretch, demi and stretch. Nicolas is going to meet me over here as I promenade around. This is extremely difficult, the arabesque is, so use the rotation in your thoracic spine. Demi and stretch, demi and stretch, demi and stretch. She's going to meet me back around, and the hips are going to go straight under you to work that full rotation. Second set's without your partner. Yeah? Demi stretch, demi stretch, demi stretch. Promenade, arms come to en avant, not to all Saucony yet. Demi, stay forward on the supporting leg. Remember that heel that I talked about? It's going to stabilize you like there's no tomorrow. Of course, I don't want you back on your heel. I just want the little bit of pressure to activate the hamstrings, okay? All right, let's do it. Get with your pot. Tools that I give my kids. But typically what you see is that their pelvis is going to push back. You got 3 things you got to think about. Pinky toe, arch, and then push this elongated. This should be like flat. You should be able to put a ruler up to them and this be pretty flat. Now, you can tell that her hyperextension is supported in 5th position because of where her hip pelvic complex is set. Now, let's make it a little bit more difficult and take you to a retire. Okay? So go ahead and just sit into it. Sit backwards. Push. Now she's really pushing into her hyperextension. Now watch what happens. She's going to fix this by pushing it forward. She has no pressure. She's almost in a straight line with her hyperextension. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Just give Missy Copeland's phone number. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and let you come down. I'm going to ask Tenacity to come over here. I don't know how I'm remembering that cool name. Okay? So Tenacity has really, she's tight. I think I told somebody, Julia, I had a student who was 10, and she's tight everywhere. Skin, muscle, and bone. No give in her muscles. So we did a lot of Eric Franklin stuff, but when we would take her into a rotary position, there was such a lack of the rotation because of the tension. So we're gonna look at this. I want you to come up to your rotary position. So we're already talking a little bit about what we just did with Karen. Now, do you see how her knee is forward? It's because she's sickled. That heel needs to be in front of the knee. So she can open up her hip socket more by pushing. So there's still a little bit of sickle. Yeah, I typically put my face down here and say, touch your heel to my cheek. Now she's straight here, and you probably feel more under here than you do anywhere else. So when I was, you can come down, when I was dancing, I was completely restricted. I felt like I had no rotation to the fullest. And then I just realized, oh my goodness, look at all that, because I use my deep rotator. So I used to be here, but I can fix it by the heel forward being in front of the knee. Look at my rotation. A lot of good it does me now, right? I can give it to my kids and my teachers, but I wish I would have had it back then. So why don't you just grab a friend and go to the bar and let's practice that. This into a nice little, here, you start here. We're in a little cone attitude. So arms high fifth. Remember, don't be on your third leg, be on your supporting leg. Stay on your supporting leg. 1, 2, in for 2. 1, 2, in for 2. Third time, 1, 2, in for 2. Now you have to straighten your leg before you promenade all the way around. From here, you're going to activate those rotators and lift the thigh bone. You still have to make sure that it's behind you. Don't be out here. Fondue and extend. Fondue and extend. Fondue. This should be on fire right here. Extend, promenade back around, then come to your attitude. Second set. Melt. Spring. Melt. Spring. Melt. Spring. Straighten. Then you lower heel down. Plie. Rise. Plie. Rise, plie, rise, turn back around, and come back down. Again, you can take that to your point, girls, okay? All right, let's do a group. Their thigh bones. If they can't cross the thigh bones, they need to move the ball out just a little bit. So we're going to take a développé. 1, 2, 3, 4, up and out, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up, 1, 2. Remember, we want to have more rotation than height. 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep those hips square. 7, 8. Third time. 1, 2. Inner heel forward. 3, 4. This time we're going to take a little fondue. 5, 6. Make sure they're not tucking here. Extend. 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Plie down. Switch to the other side, and you forgot to tell me to do my left side. Shame, shame. All the way back out. Okay? Yeah? When we talked about the small ball, we had, if they have a ton of rotation, the toes are going to be tucked. If they don't have a ton of rotation, that foot is going to be lengthened. Again, you can do this with the ball on the floor. Our goal is to get them to be up on top of the leg and draw it straight up on top of the leg with full rotation. So I'm going to show, I do have to do this side because I usually lay on my left side to show it. No, I know. Here. Remember, we're going to lengthen that arm all the way down. So they have a lack of rotation. They can start with it on the floor with the bigger ball. You're going to keep your shoulders and your hips in a line with each other, hips stack on top of each other, and the rib cage in between them. You're going to start with your foot in a full flex position. Again, it's going to start underneath your calf. You're going to pull it back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. 3 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. Third time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you grab the ball. Keep that bottom leg really lengthened. Knee up into a full développé. This time we're going to do a little rond de jambe. Back down to the ball with not allowing those hips to move back and forth. Lengthen it back down to a full flex. This time we're not going to roll over. We're just going to switch to the other side. And then I'll show you on my stronger leg how to hold it with the leg on top of the other one. So again, you're going to start with the legs in the ball between the calves, and then if you have more rotation, go ahead and tuck those toes. We also have the option of cradling our head as long as the elbow is forward, and into the palm, your neck will stay nice and straight with the spine. So start with your flex position. 1, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3 for the back of the is. So we do this all the way to fit so we don't have to drop our pelvis. So you're gonna come, remember if you're hyperextended, it's going to be, hello little ball, it's going to be underneath your calves. We're gonna take a nice preparation straight up. You can do the plie or you can just do the straight up and down. When we're using the TheraBand, I prefer just use the straight up and down. You can do this with a flex position, but I don't recommend it with hyperextension. And we're just gonna do 8 of these. Up and down. Don't let the bottom leg cross your midline. Up and down, up and down. 8 times. Lower the pelvis. Switch your legs so that the supporting leg can be right in the middle of the ball. Up and down. 2 and down. 3 and down. We'll do 8 of these, and then we'll get our TheraBand ready to go, okay? So, when we do the TheraBand, you're going to step into it like a shoe. That's how I like to tell the kids. You're gonna grab it right in the middle of the TheraBand, step into it. The reason we do it this way is we can open the toes, okay? The bottom part of the TheraBand, I think it's a preference if you pull it on the inside or if you pull it on the outside of the foot. It's up to you, everybody likes it differently. Whichever way you decide to go is fine, but just twist it 2 times and then wrap the band around your hands, and then we're gonna go back up onto the ball, this position, okay? Now look at my elbows, they're into the floor, but you see my wrist? We wanna make sure we support that, so pull the wrist towards your body, okay? You're gonna press straight up and hold. Now you do the same thing with the bands. Up, resist, 2, resist, 3, and we'll do 8 of these, and now I'll show you how to get to the other side. I don't let my kids get away with taking as much time as they want. They have 8 counts, I'll give you 16. You have to tuck your foot on the inside. Boom, you're there, bam. Okay? Yeah? All right, let's do 8. Set your, okay? If you're not hyperextended, we're gonna move it up here into the heels. We're gonna come up and to support our head into this nice crunch position. Now we're gonna rotate our legs to a 5th position, but you wanna make sure that you don't over-rotate. Also make sure that your legs aren't too low because you might have a little bit of gripping in your hip flexors. Also, you don't want your hips too close because you'll grip the same way. Right at 90 degrees, so we're gonna go 1, 2, center 2, 1, 2, center 2, 1, 2, center 2, 1, 2, center 2. Keep lifting those shoulders back to a point. Now we're gonna go quick in a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 and a 6. It's a little hard to hold on to it. 7 and an 8. I should be with the right foot. 8. Sit up into that ballet posture like we did earlier. Back down and switch the leg back up and then back down again. Okay? So when we do a leg row, but the first set's gonna be nice and slow. 4 twists with pointed toes, 4 with a flex. You can switch it up. You could do a full 8, and you could do a 16 petit pas-ons a little bit quicker. It's up to you. We're gonna do the 4 with pointed, 4 with flex, and then 8 little quick flex. Great angle. So we're just gonna take the heels out a little bit further because when you roll forward, you wanna make sure that you're not moving your feet in the first 4. Your goal is not to move the feet. So we're gonna take our arms and on and on. Now we're gonna work every part of your contraction. So I want you to feel like you're tucking and then rolling all the way down to a tabletop to this position. So you see I have a stopping point. If I go any further, you see how my knees and my knees are over my toes and my heels come up? You wanna make sure that you're not in that position. Evenly placed. So when I come up, that's about where I need to start with the angle of my feet. So we're gonna roll for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. My head is not all the way back, it's supported. And then you're gonna come back up by using each little piano key. 5, 6, 7, 8. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you see the tabletop here? I'm using my hamstrings, I'm using my deep rotators. 5, 6, 7, 8. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, this is the wedgie combination. 5, 7, 8. Down 1, 2, 3, 4. On the 4th one, you're gonna walk it back. 5, 6, all the way up, 7, 8. Now this is torso control. It says lateral roll down. We used to call it torso control. I'm stuck on the torso control. Because the reason that Ms. Marie created this was to make sure that when you're doing your pirouette, your whole entire torso gets on top of your leg. So it's more of a spring to kind of teach the kids where that spring needs to come from. Second set is a little bit of coordination challenge for the younger kids. You can do all the same leg, or you can switch it. We're gonna switch arms and legs at the same time. So we're gonna start with the left leg. We're gonna reach it out. 1, 2, you're gonna walk it back, 3, 4. That's a quick little abrupt up with the torso. Other side, opposite arm and leg. 1, 2. Did you notice how you only get 2 steps? And up, 3, 4. Did I just touch the mirror? And roll down, 1, 2, up, 3, 4, come forward. There we go. And opposite foot, 1, 2, up, 3, 4. This is usually where the ball comes out for most people. So I want you to be really aware of where your placement is on the ball and how you're walking out and how you're walking in. 2 things that you'll see is the kids will open their feet like this, or they'll be like this as they're stepping. They have to be pretty specific about what they're doing. You have step, roll down, and then you meet it to the other foot, back up, you meet it to the other foot. Nothing in between. They will get 2 steps out and 2 steps in, okay? All right, from that second progression, you would add in 3, which is gonna be the walk out, but now we're gonna hop it back. So we're gonna reach 1, 2, there's your tabletop, push, no bounce, and reach for 2, and up. Use your back muscles. Reach for 2, and up. 4 times, and up. That's progression number 3. Then progression number 4 is gonna be reach 1, 2, whoop, you hop. That was a nice, I caught it. And a nice little dégagé at the end. Reach 1 and 2, up with that torso, get that rib cage over the pelvis. 1 and 2, extend and place. There's that heel that I'm talking about. 1 and 2 can be your saving grace. And place it down, okay? So now you're gonna roll down in a parallel position, but you're gonna hop back up into a turned out attitude to bond, okay? So we're gonna go reach it, 1, 2. Make sure you're not dropping your pelvis. Remember, that has to be in a tabletop. From here, we're gonna take one arm up, just like you would in a shoulder sit, and then you have to come back down to a parallel position. Walk it down, 1, 2. We're gonna do the same leg, and then we'll switch to the other side. 1, 2, all the way up, and place it down, and reach. 1, 2. You'll be really surprised what a boy will say on this. As they do this, they had no idea how difficult it was for that girl to get up on top of the shoulder. So the ball for the boy is actually like their shoulder. They, oh, that's really, really awkward. Yeah? They had no idea it was that hard. Okay? All right, first, we give them the tools to be able to do that. It is very difficult to take a, let's say, 9-year-old, like my daughter and her other little student friends, and put them up onto the ball in a playing position. Not that I wouldn't do that, maybe I would, but I've done it against the wall just because they've been doing PBT for 3 years, and there's lots of progression that I have to continually add in for them, okay? When I watch them get up on the ball, 1, upper body strength and a plank. So of course we do that in their jazz classes, you know, for their strength, but when they start to release one leg to an arabesque, you have it in the sub-junior program where we're laying over the ball. Remember we did this one where we were hugging the ball and we went here, right? Then you start to progress them down into more of the plank. Then you have the foam roller. It's lower to the floor than the big balls are. And it gets very scary when they go up onto the ball and that high. So I do quite a bit with the foam roller. There are some other things that I do that may not be under the PBT banner that you can do. A lot of physiotherapists say that it could be like pressure on the lower part of the knee. I don't have students who've ever complained about it. So there's a couple things I'm going to show you. First, I'm going to show you the exercise that we're going to do, just kind of practice in groups, and then I'll show you some options that you can use with the foam roller. So again, if you're lacking the upper body strength, you can come down to your forearms, clasp your hands together, and just leave it here and work it that way. For everybody else, you want to be able to walk it out to hyperextension, can be where it is that we talked about yesterday on the tibia, or you're going to be underneath your arches. Now, before you do this, we want to make sure that they're not here. They can't be doing the plank and doing the arabesque if they don't have the strength. They have to perfect that before they can go into this position. They are in a rotated position. You're going to take that right or left leg up, it doesn't matter. You're going to come straight up. 1, 2, come into a little coupe position and lower it back down. Other leg, 1, 2. Keep those ribs up and out of the body. Lift, 2, breathe. for 2, up, 2, breathe for 2, and lower it back down. Then you're gonna take your arms out. Keep your hands together. That's gonna give you more of a stretch through your upper shoulders. And then come back up, okay? So we're just gonna practice a little bit with it. You can take this into a beautiful exercise and do it right, left, have them rest and do it again. We're working on rotation. It's not about height here. It's all about rotation, okay? Are you trying to pressure going on? A little bit, yeah, so just be careful with them. I just wanna make sure that you don't, roll up onto your kneecap or anything like that. But you can see that with the other ones that aren't as dense, you're gonna have more support under it. I had actually never seen those until I went to my North Carolina one, that they were that dense, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've never seen an indention on a foam roller before. Yeah, so using that piece and close, you can work your teeth. Oh, I'm going. I'm keep going, Callie. You looked really concerned. Just pushing it open and close. Or I've done it to where you can take it underneath this way. I have a friend that I grew up dancing with. Her and her husband are in Germany, and they dance professionally, and now they run a Pilates studio. And we were sitting here talking about how can we get those outside of the thighs, and just work in the TFLs. You don't want to be sitting up this way doing it because you're going to work your hip flexors. Here you do want to lean back just a little bit and push open so that the outside of the thighs are working. That feels so good. It's like, yeah, fire up that TFL. But yes, absolutely. If you are hyperextended and you can handle it because of your strength, great. Most of your kids are probably going to complain right away because their muscles aren't developed yet. Okay? Any questions on that one before we go on to the next Arabesque training? Hands on underneath your shoulder blades, underneath your shoulders. You're going to be in a fifth position. You don't want to be sinking into the ball. Tell the kids it's like a bubble and they don't want to bubble. God bless you. From here, we're going to focus on only the rotation. So you're going from the foam roller up to the ball. Now see the placement of where the ball is on the hips. Now, I'm going to have this discussion with you because for the last couple of years, I have talked back and forth to Miss Marie about why you move it to the thigh bone or why you put it to the hips. If the kids don't have the core control, I highly recommend you keeping it under their hip sockets. If they lack rotation, keep it under their hip sockets. If they have more rotation and they have more strength, you can move them to the thigh bone here. I don't prefer this because I don't have a ton of rotation, and I feel like I can get more out of it, but it's personal. If you feel like you have more strength and more rotation and you can hold this, go ahead and take it to the thigh bone. Otherwise, move the students back to where it's on their hip bones. And as you come to the arabesque, don't drop this bottom leg. That has to stay lifted so that they're supporting their lumbar spine. We're going to do 4 arabesques. Then we're going to do a retire to the side of the leg. Don't put your toe back here. You're going to restrict your rotation that way. Take it to the side of the leg and then sneak it back down 3 times. On the 4th one, you're going to close it to the front. You're there for the other side, okay? So arabesques and twine here. Just because that's my focus this week for myself, is that when we lift that leg in the back, try to have more of your mobility for the upper back and not the lumbar spine. Put your leg to arabesque, and then close, and now scoot it back to where it's at the hips. Now she's really using her core, lifting those legs, and go from here. See the difference? For some reason, it's going to be different for everybody, and I see it all over the globe. There's different people doing it on their thighs, and there's different people doing it on the hips. I think depending on rotation and strength, it's going to be. The reason why is because you'll see that they're trying to get their feet on the mat. When they roll forward, they actually miss the mat. This one, the foot is going to be down in the back, so what I recommend is that you fold the back of your mat, and then you just come down and set yourself up so that when they roll forward, they don't miss their mat, okay? Now, if you can get them not to use the mat, even better, but some of them are high maintenance because they complain about pain. We're tough, we don't really care. So you're going to start with your hands underneath you. This time what you're going to do is I'm actually going to use my right leg because I always do my left leg for my arabesque. I'm going to use my mobility and my head at the same time. I thought you were raising your hand. Yeah. All right, we go. Up, 1, 2, down for 2. Focus on my supporting leg. 1, 2, down for 2. Third time. 1, 2. Show that arabesque. Wrap that thigh bone. Extend the leg. Close to 5th position. Take a deep breath in and a little changement to change. Second side. 1, 2 with the head, 2, 2, up, 1, 2. Don't lose that rotation on the supporting leg. Third time, wrap that attitude, try to keep those hips square. Extend, lower it down, little changement. You're going to keep this hand right underneath you. Same arm, same leg. 1, 2, down for 2. Try not to pop your bubble. 1, 2, down for 2. Third time, leave your hand down. 1, 2, into the attitude. This is a progression for the advanced exercise coming up soon. Changement. Leave your hand here, don't adjust to the center, because you're going to transfer your weight to that supporting leg. 1, 2, down for 2. Lots of breath with the head of the arm. 1, 2, down for 2. From here, leave the arm down on the third time. 1, 2, into that attitude. Feel that rotation even more on the supporting leg. Close it back down to fifth, and a little changement. Okay? Find that you have some overachievers in your junior class if you want to start this. I highly recommend you going to a nice little Superman, Superwoman position here and have them parallel, because that will give them a little bit more easier setup than going into an external rotation. So we're going to go into first position. We're going to start with the TheraBand. The reason we use the TheraBand is so that we pull down for our traps. So the first thing we do is use our shoulders to get up. So here's the marble and the baby swan again. We're going to take that nice breath, roll forward with the upper body, lifting through that baby swan and up. We're going to come back down, lower, keep those legs really rotated, and lower. Breath back up, 1, pull through the trapezius, 2. And yes, I'm being very cautious because I'm trying to use my upper back. We're going to twist to the right and center, keep those ribs together, to the left, shoulders down, to center. You can see my core working, to the right, and center, to the left, and center, long, all the way down. Drop the TheraBand, take a breath back with your arms, all the way up to high fifth we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, open breath, 5, 6, down, 7, 8, up, 1, 2, 3, 4, up, 5, 6, bring the arms through the center. We're going to go to third. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to plie here. Think about those butterfly wings that we talked about earlier. 1, 2, Superman or Superwoman. 3, 4, up, 5, 6, back down, 7, and 8. Okay? This one is so lovely. Let's see, with your hip. And there's a couple different ways that you can try to put your feet. The easiest way is going to be in the open parallel position. The bottom leg will be in the front, the top leg will be in the back. You want to make sure your feet are not all the way forward. You have to have them evenly middle placed, okay? The hardest position is going to be when you cross the top leg over and the back leg is in the back. If you're super, super tall, you can bend the back leg for them because for some reason they just can't get into a position because their legs are so long, okay? You will see Miss Marie has some kids who are in a parallel position here. I'm not gonna lie, it's very, very difficult to do the parallel position. So you'll always have a progression, okay? I'm gonna show the exercise this way because this is the way that I like it the best. You're gonna start with your hand on the floor. You're gonna take a nice port de bras, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're gonna cambre up. 1, 2, 3, 4, back down, 6, 7, 8. You must keep your ribs in between your hips and your shoulders. Now remember when I was talking earlier, we're going to do 4 of these, about how you can work those side obliques. And I said I'd give you a couple extra tips. This is the one. If you're a cross trainer, which I love to cross train, who's my friend over there, cross trains in the hat, is Michelle. Where are you? Oh, she's not. Oh, there you are. Okay, so you probably do, some, well, not cross training like CrossFit, but cross train, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so here, if you just wanted to give them reps, you could place the hands and don't go all the way down. You're just pumping like a sit-up, but you're working those side obliques. I've got 4 in and I'm already burning. Then you can extend the arms and you can do the same thing, but you don't want to go all the way down, okay? And you can take a nice little twist here of the upper body. Oh my gosh, you will work the patooties out of your side obliques there. But when you're doing the PBT program, it's just going to be the cambre up. Shape those arms, get up out of the ball, shoulders down, all the way over. If your kids like to have a stretch, back leg out. Let them take a nice little stretch over the ball. Again, watch your space so that you don't domino effect on each other. And then we do the other side, okay? That you only go to your hips on this exercise. If you go any further on your thigh bones, you're not gonna be able to do your beats, okay? But we're gonna start really slow, so get ready for your thighs to burn. So starting really tall, take a nice softened plie, roll slightly forward, hands underneath you to a first position, flex the feet. Again, for the little ones, this position is really hard for them to hold, so start at the wall. Open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close. It's not a big open, just a little one with a point. Open, close, open, close. Keep your legs above the ball. Feel the rotation, 5, 6, 7, flex to fit. Change in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. Flex. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7. This is just your warm up. 7, 8. Yes?
So what do you mean by having to start at the wall?
Yesterday when we were at the wall, we did our plies.
Oh,
Plie
right.
sautes. Yeah, that's a little saute preparation. The
So
reason
have them do that instead of that until they're strong enough to hold that.
yeah, you'll give this to the advanced at the wall. They'll be off of it probably in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then we progress it. So there's a lot of advanced stuff we do, like plie, like we do like super sew, and then assemble, super sew, assemble, or we do fifth position on the wall. We'll get to that with the bantus. But I recommend for them to feel how to get up onto the ball, do it at the wall first, okay? All right, but now close, open, close. I can always tell when I'm too far forward because I can't cross my legs all the way. Open, close, 8 times, then with the point. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and finish, yeah? We're just gonna do one set of those. Those are super easy for you. You're thinking about your rotation. I wanna spend more times on the entrecôtes, royales, and toises, okay? And going into the beat. But then once you're out here, you're gonna just do your entrecôtes. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5, and a 6, and a 7, royale or changement. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, fill the rotation 4, and a 5, and a 6, and a 7, front back. Then stand up, put their balls away, and have them try it. You will be amazed. It's not gonna be perfect, but they can get it. They have the understanding of how it works because there's no weight bearing there. They're pushing up against the floor. Best way to teach them how to do entrecôtes. Okay? Let's give it a shot. He says, but they're gonna be more of an in, out, in, and out, in, and in. And we'll see if I can get these in because I was not good at the thesis. And 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in. Yes?
Yeah, right.
Of course. Rotation. Yeah? So you're welcome to try with the flex. 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in, 1, 2, 3, out, 1, 2, 3, in. You got it. You've done that. Entrecôtes out. It's done mostly with men, especially when they're going to go to their échappé and come back in. Okay? But us women do what the men do, right? How many of you always went with the boys in the corner? Me too. To your students, it's going to be entrecôte, assemblée, derrière. I've been told we don't do assemblées like that derrière. In Juchetti, we do. Okay, so it's up to you if you want to do it, but then I do it again. Assemblée, assemblée. Okay, so that would be like you're going brush assemblée, brush assemblée. If you've done it that way, great. If not, you can just do your entrecôtoise and close to fifth position. We're going to roll it forward, hands underneath you. Lift those legs. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4. There should be hardly any bounce here, but just a little bit here because you're using your resistance. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5, and a 6, and up, and up. Yeah? Let's give it with the arms and how they, come up and out or up into an arabesque. Arms don't matter here. It's all about the lift and the changing of the scissors. Okay? I'm going to use your ball. I'm going to show it this way so I don't kick your butt. So we're going to just set up like we normally do with the ball underneath our hips. Hands are going to be down. And I'm just going to be challenging myself here and use my right leg. You're going to keep your head nice and lifted. And again, you're going to come up and out of that ball without popping your bubbles. So you're going to go and a 1 and 2. You want to hold that top leg. And a 1 and 2. And a 1. That bottom foot needs to stay rotated. go. And 1, and 2, and 1, extend 2, and 1, extend 2, and 1, extend 2. This really challenges you to support your lumbar spine and use that mobility through the upper back. But again, the cross of the scissors is excellent before you teach the kids to go to church tail and all. Okay? Let's do this in groups. If you're not dancing, let's do like every other. Them forward or out, depending on how your wrists feel. Or you can slightly bend them to put the weight in your biceps. Just make sure that you're pushing up out of the ball. I have some students who are tall who have to come to their fingertips because it's the only way that they don't sink down into the ball. Was that the second group?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, we use it quite a bit for stability on the supporting leg, as well as flexibility with the TheraBand. I'm not going to show you every single exercise. I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I think could help you and your students. It's hard to be able to have everybody bring a $125 BOSU. You can find them on Amazon for about $50. However, if you don't spend the money for the big ones, you will have a bigger hole here. And if you're going to use the BOSU, which means both sides up, it's kind of uncomfortable to have the bigger hole. Okay, so let's just do a little bit of discussion on this one for the controlled landing. So when you start with your little ones, I would start in a parallel position. This is actually a really good resistance. The more you don't want it super squishy, but you don't want it super hard. You want it to be right in the center so that they can feel the resistance of the BOSU. So with pronation, what I do is I have the kids stay in a parallel position. I have them slightly lift their heels. They don't come away from the BOSU with their heels, so we're not up here. Slightly lift and then push them straight down. Now my core and my shoulders and everything is working. But do you see how I'm level? I'm level from my heel to my toes. My weight's not all the way in the toes and my heels are not all the way back into the BOSU. If you push your heels all the way down, you're going to automatically fire up your quadriceps. You want to be in a deep plie, slightly pull the heels up, push them down so you're activating the hamstrings. If you don't use the heel, you're not going to activate the hamstrings, okay? So then after you do a couple of those, I would peel the foot off and roll, teaching them how to control their landings from the toe ball heel. And then you can do it a little bit faster. You'll be surprised with the little ones how difficult this is to just get one foot to roll toe ball heel. So I would start on the BOSU there. For the older kids, what I would do is keep them in this coupe position. And again, you can do the little lift here so that they're not pronating. They're really fighting for that hamstring to fire up. And then from here, you can take them to a little saute. As they come down, they can't pronate, they can't supinate, and they can't have all their weight in the heel or in the toe. They have to evenly press it down through the whole entire sole. Up, down. Up, down. The control is absolutely insane as they're working this. Okay, they're going to feel it through the outside and in the back part of this. The other thing I like to do is you can do this at the bar or you can use a partner. My kids like to do it in the center with partners. So I take it into a arabesque saute. I start parallel with the top leg because that's typically the kids have so much more pronation when they turn out. So keep it in parallel, push to arabesque, and then roll it back. Press, evenly placed with that sole of the foot, and roll, knees over toes. Do 4 of those, and then you can turn it out. And again, you can even take the back leg into an attitude for the older kids. Roll, toe ball heel. That's what you're going to get. So the BOSU really challenges them in that movement, okay? How many of you have older kids that you do balancing on the flat side with? Okay. How many of you use the BOSU on the flat side for yourself? No?
I've got a balance board.
Balance board?
What I did.
Will you be my guinea pig?
I use both sides. Does it matter?
No. I'm just going to use you